Genesis or Genesisn't. I hope I waited long enough before the stream delays kicked in so that all of this really fantastic intro ghost sounds gets properly picked up. It's a very spooky edition of Genesis or Genesisn't. I'm Eric Stephen Allen. I got Joe Drilling here hanging out with me.
In my underwear, ready to kill some demons.
That is the scariest fact of all. We also have Kurt Adam. Hopefully he's wearing some pants.
I do have pants on.
Ironically, I'm wearing pants, but I'm not wearing underwear. So,
well, I mean,
Joe and I are one fully dressed person between the two of us.
Do assless chaps count as pants?
And I mean, all chaps are assless, and yes.
That's right. They're not chaps unless they're assless.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd just be leather pants. Anyway, I'm playing some Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins.
And
Genesis edition, not the Super Nintendo one.
This is a different game than the Super Nintendo.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins games, but I know that
that would be able to tell us
Super Nintendo one is not a port of the arcade game, and this is a port of the arcade game because they talked about it on the Giant Bombcast this week, actually.
Yes. Oh wow, that's
because they were trying to play some of this Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the
NES Classic,
the SNES Classic.
Yes, the SNES Classic.
And they couldn't figure out why they couldn't throw lances up, and that's apparently the reason why.
That's the reason.
Because it don't do that.
Yeah. So I haven't. I mean, obviously, like this is a pretty famous Capcom. I don't know. I would say semi-classic. For me, this game series does not have the same weight as like Street Fighter or Mega Man. Or whatever. But I don't. These games are just like too hard to be fun for me. Like they cross the line from being challenging and that being part of the fun, and them just being punishing and just not like. There's so many enemies that spawn. And I've never actually played this particular version of this game. But the Super Ghouls and Ghosts is like that, and so is the NES game, which is Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Goblins, Goblins and.
So I will.
Gerrymandering, which is the scariest G word of all.
That's the scariest
Gerrymandering.
But maybe the Supreme Court will help us out with that after oral arguments yesterday. But anyways,
God, I hope so.
That's the hottest argument. This is a very scary stream.
XXX a priori. XXX.
Yeah, the state of Wisconsin made anal arguments in the
boom.
So anyways, I'll explain the naming convention to you. So in Japan, they're all Dai Makaimura Makaimura games. Makaimura is Japanese for Demon World Village.
Okay. Does that have anything to do with the Kikimora?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So Makaimura, the first game came to the U.S. as Ghosts and Goblins because Demon World Village doesn't really make any sense. Then the sequel in Japan, which is the
fuck you, magician that comes out of the treasure chest.
He's such a dick.
Yeah.
So that one came to the NES in a somewhat infamously kind of shitty port. And then they released a sequel called Dai Makaimura, which is Big Demon World Village. And so that was renamed Ghouls and Ghosts here in the US and in Europe, which was ported to the Genesis and the PC Engine Super Graphics, which was the failed follow-up to the TurboGrafx. That version is available on the Wii Virtual Console, which is absolutely the cheapest way you will ever play it, because an actual Super Graphics and an actual Hue card for the Super Graphics would cost you hundreds of dollars. So that version is apparently a little more accurate, but I've never actually played it.
Okay.
And there's actually a Master System port of this, which I talked about at length in an episode of Same Name, Different Game a few years ago.
I'm pretty sure we had like a long conversation about that on one of the podcasts, too.
Yeah, it's like wildly different than this. This is a pretty straight-up arcade port, and it's pretty accurate to the arcade. And if you never played this game in the arcade, which, like, I never saw an arcade cabinet of this game until I was an adult. by which point I had played the arcade version on Capcom Classics Collection Volume 1 for the PS2, which is another way you could play it. But I've always liked this version a lot, and a lot of purists will say that, like, oh, you have unlimited continues, and this, that, and the other.
That sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
especially given
sure.
how brutally difficult this game is and how random everything is. Like, that's the thing that always... Like, like in Contra, you can kind of... Not all of the enemy spawns you can memorize, but you can memorize most of the really difficult areas and sort of prepare
you can
yourself.
have a pretty decent idea of what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I feel like in this game they just throw shit, like stuff just spawns like underneath your feet in a way that's really unfair and not fun for me.
Those tentacles that were coming out of the ground a moment ago, they're mostly random. They just like pop up wherever.
Right.
But I really like. I mean, I love this series.
It's got great art.
It does, and the music is awesome too.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my favorite entry of the series. A lot of people say the Super Nintendo version, which I also like a lot. But this one,
you can't throw up.
Right, you can't throw up.
If you play,
you can double
enough,
jump.
throw up.
Right, you can double jump in the Super Nintendo version.
It's true.
But also, so having replayed, I did an episode of Standing in a Different Game last year about Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And replaying it, I found that even though I like being able to shoot up and down, it is very much part of the game design of the Super Nintendo version that you can't do that. Like, that is a super intentional decision, and if you could, it would make a lot of segments like...
If it was on the NES, it would
really
just be an
easy.
intentional decision, but since it was on the Super Nintendo...
Yes.
If it was on the Nintendo 64, it would be a 64.
It'd be intentional 64.
Yeah.
This is possibly my favorite piece of music in the whole game, by the way.
I really love that. I always thought that opening level theme was just like a piece of classical music that was repurposed for this.
So did
I.
I thought that for the longest time, but
every time I've
it is.
ever played the game, I've always gone and looked to see if I can figure out what it is, but as far as I can tell, maybe it sounds like something familiar.
Yeah, I think it's because it sounds like organ music, and it kind of sounds like what's the troll? It's not like the Troll Symphony, but it's Disney's used it in cartoons of theirs, and I can't remember what it's like. It's a Grieg piece, and I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it kind of sounds like that. It kind of sounds like that Bach piece, Toccata and Fugue in D minor, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It kind of has that feel. Like the FM synthesizer is a really convincing organ, replacement. Not, like a
Got the holy water
replacement, but so I think there's like that kind of vibe around it, which is why I think that too. But I think that it is actually a completely original composition. But this track for this level I really like. And actually, talking about how hard this game is, you're cruising right along.
Am I?
To make it to stage 2 as quickly as you did.
I'm gonna die here though. No, I made it.
Yeah, no, this game is very... I don't know.
Like I said, I haven't played this game very much, but I played some of the Super Nintendo one, and so maybe this is a little easier than that. I don't know.
I don't know. I think they're difficult in slightly different ways. I mean, you can only take 2 hits. And the Super Nintendo version, the gold armor gives you a shield, and the bronze armor powers up your weapons, which you don't get in this game. So I think that those things help. The double jump helps a bit in the Super Nintendo version, but shooting up and down helps a lot in this version, so it's kind of hard to say which
You just can't kill that dude.
You can't kill that thing. You have to jump over it. Hot tip.
Is there a way to tell which sections of this bridge are gonna fall out from underneath me?
Does memorizing it count as being able to tell?
No, that does not count. I thought maybe there was like...
There's a way to tell in that it happened to you already.
Yeah, okay. Oh, fuck off!
He's playing Ghouls and Ghosts, I can tell.
Actually, if you want to play a lot games that are a lot easier in this series with similar aesthetics, music, and the Gargoyle series starring Firebrand are much more.
Yeah, Demon's Crest is a straight.
Evenly,
that's a solid 9 out of 10. That's a great game.
I love that game. Well, I gave that game to Mike for our Christmas exchange a couple of years ago, and I love that game. I adore that game.
That has some more layers to it than this does, also.
Yeah, and it's also... What's the word I'm looking for? it's just a little more. It's not, the design philosophy is not the same, right? Like,
Right,
This
yeah,
game
it's
is
different.
like,
This is an arcade game.
know, right,
It is just a straight up platformer.
right. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to throw this one at you because I figured you might be familiar with it, but I also just, I really like this game. This is, and I understand all your complaints with it for sure. But this is like legit one of my probably like at least 50, maybe 20 favorite games of all time. Like, I love this game. So,
Okay.
you know, but again, when people tell me that they don't like this series, I totally get it. Like, I 100% understand why people don't like these.
Poverty Game Night says Gargoyle's Quest is the only game in the franchise he's ever finished.
And that's that's the weakest of the
Is that the
Gargoyle
NES
trilogy.
one?
No, that's the Game Boy one.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever played that one.
2 is the NES one, and then Demon's Crest is the Super NES one. And as you said, it's a very solid 9 out of 10. In my opinion as well. That's also one of my favorite, like, well, we talked about that when we did the Super Nintendo draft, but that's like one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, which puts it high in the ranking of, you know, again, favorite games ever. So,
Gold armor.
yeah, but the
I feel like so.
atmosphere
This
in
this
thing-
section with the tornadoes is you can kind of memorize where those guys are coming.
Yeah, a little bit. They're semi-random, but they come slowly enough that you can kind of tell what
Yeah,
they're doing. To use your magic, you hold the button down. I don't know if you've done it yet or
I have
figured
not.
that out yet, but
Which button?
yeah, if you hold the attack button,
Oh, okay.
then you get that red meter in the corner
Okay.
fill up.
I see.
Yeah.
I don't. I feel like. Oh fuck. Great. I feel like any kind of charge mechanic slows me down too much.
Yeah, there are sometimes like with the dagger magic creates a double of you, so you have like a Ninja Gaiden 2 style Shadow Arthur.
Yeah.
That
a
one
double
is really
dragon of you?
helpful. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And that also, like, I think the best
come
weapon.
on.
The rate of fire is super fast, so like that magic and that weapon can really help you out in some spots.
What is this thing? What is this supposed to be, like a shield?
I always thought of it as like a discus, I guess. Like
That time the
like a
magician turned me into an
frisbee.
old man.
and it traces. Yeah, if you're out of your armor, he turns you into an old man. If you're in your armor, he turns you into a duck. And then in Super Ghouls and Ghosts, he turns you into like a milkmaid and a seal. And I think there's one other thing he can turn you into, but I don't remember what. Poverty Game Night says, to be fair, I haven't played 2 or Demon's Crest yet. I rented and died a bunch in the main game series, though. Yeah,
Yep.
that's how they are. You're
Yep.
gonna die a lot. It really depends on how you feel about that. And it's really tired and stupid to make a comparison to Dark Souls. But
This
if
is
you-
the Dark Souls of 16-bit video games.
yeah,
what you're
but I
saying.
feel like if you have that kind of patience of like trial and error until like die over and over and over again until you figure it out, like. But on the other hand, like Eric likes the Dark Souls games and I don't, and he doesn't like this and I do. So maybe that's like not a good comparison.
Those games, I mean, there's character progression and RPG mechanics, and also, like you benefit a great deal by playing levels over and over in those games and memorizing
Yeah.
enemy placements and things.
Right. I mean, that's all intentional.
Right.
And if you're incredibly deliberate and can remember all that stuff, you can do well.
I feel like that there's in my limited experience with Dark Souls, which is basically consists of playing the the first game, but not
Demon
Demon
Souls.
Souls.
Yeah.
No, not that one.
Dark
the first,
Souls.
The first Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second
a lot of it, like if you pick the wrong character class. Oh, I also played some Bloodborne.
No,
And I
the
think
character
that-
class is largely irrelevant, actually.
Is it really? Because
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I just was like I don't. Like especially
mean, there's
in
some-
Bloodborne, like I picked a class and I picked a weapon, and I felt like this isn't effective in a way that.
Yeah,
should
I don't know. I
be.
can't speak to Bloodborne. I haven't played that, obviously. I don't have a
yeah, 'cause you
PlayStation
don't have
4.
a
But
PS4.
in Dark Souls, most of the starting classes are pretty viable.
That one I didn't have too much trouble with, but I also didn't get very far. Like I've killed the first boss. I was playing as a wizard, and I just like hucked fireballs at that giant
wizard.
prison
A
giant
wizard
or
or
whatever.
pyromancer?
A pyromancer,
Okay.
I think. Yeah, I just hucked fireballs at that thing, that big thing
Yep.
you fight in that
I think
room.
I honestly
And it
think
died.
that playing Demon
That doesn't narrow it
Souls
down.
as a royal might be the best introduction to that series that you can have.
Really?
Yeah, because the royal starts with a long range magic missile thing that he can use, and it gives you like a huge advantage and lets you sort of engage with enemies in the melee combat when you're comfortable with it, but then gives you an out for like a huge chunk of that game.
Okay, that's interesting. But I think the thing with this game and games of this ilk is that you're sort of there's no like preparation. There's no way to bone yourself before you start, I guess. And that, again, that's kind of how I felt with Bloodborne, is like maybe I was just really bad at it. It's also possible. But I felt like I made bad choices at the outset, and then like that was it. Like you chose the wrong thing, so you're fucked.
Right. I mean, it also is recommended to it's not a bad idea to start those games with a guide especially if you haven't played one before, like to completion, not just like I played like 5 hours of one of the other ones, but like if you don't know how the stat progression stuff works, if you haven't internalized a lot of that stuff, or how the weapon damage scaling works and how that stuff interacts with your character stats, then there is an element to it that right. Yeah. And so, I mean, like, that's a big part of the appeal for a lot of people, is figuring all that stuff out, too.
Yeah. I mean, sure,
for me, it was just, like, I looked up, like, what's a good character build? And then I, kind of followed those guidelines, and then just learned had fun with the melee combat. The other big barrier is that the other big barrier is that what the hell was I going to say? I forgot. I got killed by that thing, and it just totally derailed my train of thought.
You were talking about the internalizing the mechanics and the stats,
the way the stat and level scaling works, and then what was the other thing that I was gonna? I don't remember now.
Well, what you're thinking, think about it. If you remember, you should definitely say it. But I think the thing about these games, well, so first of all,
right. I mean, they're different. That has become like the ultimate dumb video game comparison.
Yeah,
is that
metaphor comparison.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
But I think
it's the Citizen Kane of video game.
Games like this and like Castlevania, I think are much less of a time sink, right? Like, even if you struggle through, like, if you were to say tonight you were like, I'm gonna beat this fucking game,
I could probably do it.
It's not an easier difficulty. Like, it would take you like 2 or 3 hours, maybe.
I'm not gonna make it. God damn it.
Because like you're competent. You're a competent player. Like, if my 6-year-old nephew tried to beat this,
let's not get too carried away
right now. But
I think Eric plays at least the level of an 8-year-old.
Probably, I might have been better at this game.
I'm more like
7
7.5. That's true. There are a lot of things that I did when I was young, and I'm like, how the fuck did I ever do that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
But I mean, for me, games like this and Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania are more engaging on that, because there's not as many, I guess, like meta. There's not like a meta game that I'm like not understanding.
Right.
That I have to take a lot of time to try to understand.
Sure. What you see.
You need to do a series where you play Dark Souls with me being your fucking guide.
Oh yeah, there you go.
We'll get you through it.
It's Obi-Wan.
And then you can just play the game and learn. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say was that the other big hurdle, especially with Dark Souls 1, is that like some of the mechanical stuff in that game is just not great. On the PC version, it's better. Like, the frame rate is better.
That's the one I have.
Like, the first time I played that on the Xbox 360, I didn't like it, and a big part of the reason that I didn't like it was just that the frame rate was so bad, and the camera would like constantly bounce off of walls and stuff, and it's just like, this game is difficult, and I need to spend a lot of time digging deep into the mechanics of the stat scaling and everything. And on top of all that, it just plays like shit because the frame rate is bad.
You're just fighting it, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm not sure you're realizing is that the fire on these things will kill you, but the stick won't hurt. You can duck through the stick.
Okay. I didn't realize
assumed
that.
He realized that, although I meant to say something about it.
I assume that anything moving that touches me will kill me in this game.
Understandable.
Sprinting along with the stick and being like, that fire is going to kill you so hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, so once you help me build a new computer in February, and I can stream PC games without, like, my whole computer going to shit, maybe we'll do that. Because right now I can only stream things off of a console. Also, I'm going to try.
Maybe Dark Souls 3 will be cheap by that point. And you can play that one because it's mechanically a little bit
the
more
easiest
solid.
one.
I think. Well, for me it was, but I'd also played through 3 other Dark Souls games by that point. So,
You hit a checkpoint.
Yay! I might be able to get to the second boss.
I actually also like the game, but the continue music is like strangely haunting. I feel in this game.
Ouch.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd be willing to give it a go once I have a new rig that can handle all of this stuff. Which, again,
So what are you guys
implore
doing
you-
aside from watching me play this, which is a very scary video game? What do you guys? What's your October Halloween spooky plans?
Well, you know, it's funny you should mention that because Kurt and I just got tickets yesterday for Dismember the Alamo at our local Alamo Draft House, which is going to be. What's the first movie, Kurt? I don't remember.
Madman.
Madman. Yes, a 1982 slasher film. Very much in the Friday the 13th mold.
I don't think I've ever
Second-
even heard of that one. So
I
Well,
haven't
but,
either.
but
probably
the
a
second
classic.
film. Yeah, I haven't either. This is being curated by the American Genre Film Archive. this
Okay.
year, so. The second film you have definitely heard of. It is Frank Henlotter's classic, Brain Damage.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is a classic. That has
Which
a really
Marion,
truly
when I
special and fantastic sex scene in that movie.
when I told Marion about it, she said, "How the hell did they let that guy make another movie?" Because she watched.
So she
at
hasn't
least
seen
some portions-
Frankenhooker then.
She has not. She watched at least some portions of Basket Case with me.
Right.
She's
Well, he
saying,
made two more basket
I saw
cases.
the whole
Did
fucking
you know
thing.
that?
I noted to her that there were more Basket Case movies than he had made, and she just boggled.
The newer basket cases are kind of actually more tasteful than the original basket case in a
I mean,
lot of ways.
that's a low bar.
Yeah,
that is a low bar. But the
they're a little
third
more
and final
family
film-
friendly, you know.
Yeah, the third and final film actually raises the bar a little bit in terms of crassness, and is in fact the new restoration of Suspiria,
Okay.
which I am super
which,
in
you
for.
said two of the three were good. Which two were you talking about?
I was talking about Brain Damage. I haven't seen Madman, so I was talking
Okay.
about Brain Damage and Suspiria.
Okay, so I saw Suspiria way back when, as this sort of, back before the internet of, hey, classic, so on and so forth. It was like the first Argento movie I saw.
Yeah.
And like I rented it on VHS, so that's when this, how long ago this was.
Right.
And
damn it.
I did not enjoy it at the time, but I cannot remember. I just thought it was boring. I think.
It's pretty fucking boring. That's the secret of Suspiria, is that it is a gorgeous movie that is also kind of really fucking boring.
It's very deliberately paced until
Right.
the
A
end,
lot of his
and then all
movies
of a
are like
sudden,
that.
Shit gets really fucking weird at the end, which also a lot of his movies are like that. So
Yeah, so I'm sort of interested to see how it plays out with this new version now.
I'm really interested to see the new
Have an
restoration though, because I feel like the color palette will really pop with it in a new, like seeing it on VHS. Don't get that weapon. Oh, it's too late. I'm on a delay.
Oh, why
I couldn't
is the
stop you
axe
from
bad?
getting that thing. It's
The mu-
hot shit garbage, man. It is the worst weapon in
Why?
the game.
Just because the
Because you
arc
can only
that
have one
travels
on
at?
screen. Yeah, it travels in an upward angle, and you can only have one on screen at a time.
The Muteki says, Ghouls and Ghosts get. He says G&G Genesis.
Why does it say practice down by the
Not
thing?
quite
You're playing
arcade
like on
perfect,
easy
but
mode
damn
or
is it
something?
close.
You're on easy mode, yeah.
Okay.
Professional is the hard. There are two difficulties: practice
Okay.
and professional. I thought it was mute key, by the way. I could be
I
wrong.
think it is the mute key. Yeah.
That would make
can
more
tell
sense,
us.
but I prefer to say Muteki. Muteki.
No, I can't even get rid of this axe.
I can't pronounce underscore.
No, you can't. You have to find another.
That's all right. I can beat this fire
find
dog
another-
without it, or with it.
It is we who are
He's-
your fire dogs.
He's not.
So I
he's not
picked
that
up
hard.
a really scary game
Oh,
by the
yeah.
name of Golf Story that I'm playing on my Nintendo Switch.
I picked that up as well, but
Spooky.
I have only barely started it.
Yeah.
I will be picking up a Nintendo Switch right before Halloween. Is
Okay.
that spooky?
That's pretty
That's
spooky.
That's
Mario's a
spooky.
pretty scary game.
Mario is. I bet. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some ghost houses and castles and stuff in
Probably.
Mario that are. I'm getting the Mario bundle with the cool Mario carrying case and the Mario colored Joy-Cons. So.
Nice.
I felt like
for
it was
my-
just, too good of a deal. And like, also, they're still like hard to find sometimes. So I was like, if I just pre-order the bundle, I know I'll get one right when Mario comes out, and I won't have to worry about like finding a separate. You know what I
wouldn't-
mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much at this point, but I mean, the red Joy-Cons are pretty nice. So
Well, also, I knew I'm gonna need. I feel like I'm gonna need a carrying case. Like that seems like a good thing to have. And
I bought it. Yeah, I
the
bought one.
Mario one is
Studio
neat.
linked.
So
Oh, did it come with it? Okay.
yeah, it comes
I
with
didn't
it.
catch that part.
Yeah, it comes with the Mario.
Yeah,
a
you
red
definitely want one.
Mario emblazoned carrying
Nice.
case.
My other main October activity is that friend of the podcast / streaming, Jonathan Howard, last year decided he was going to do watch a horror movie a day in October, and post little thoughts about it, which apparently he had not seen much. So,
Yeah, sounds like it
previously. So it was sort of he took suggestions and made no research whatsoever. Just kind of put together a list and watched stuff.
Poverty Game Night says Mario Odyssey is spooky because Mario can possess stuff. Can he possess a boo? That's scary. That's weird. A ghost, like possessing a ghost, seems counterintuitive. That is scary.
It does. Yeah. That's
Anyways,
very
continue.
So he posted a couple days ago that he was going to do it again. And I said, hey, I'll co-op this with you if you want, and we'll both do it because I've thought from time to time.
Where can I find this? Is this
stuff
on Talking Time? Is that where I can find
Yes,
this list?
that's correct.
I'll have to look it up, and maybe I can do it too.
Well,
If you would like
Jonathan
to do
watched
this.
Rabid.
So
and
night
did not
one,
know.
night one was the Black Cat, which is a Universal
Horror
movie,
yeah.
like B tier Universal horror movie.
If you haven't seen a Universal horror movie, that's probably not the one I would start with.
It's not the one he saw some last year, so
Okay.
this was not like the first one. And so the interesting thing was we decided
You're gonna want to pick up the pace, dude, or you're gonna get crushed against the ceiling.
Yeah,
He
I'm
said-
starting to realize this.
he trolled for some suggestions. I said, well, I have a whole bunch just on my wish list of things that I had seen various various best of 2016 or whatever and things like that, and just threw them on my Amazon watch list. So I was like, well, we can have I have a whole bunch of these we can watch or not watch however you like. And then he put a few on there, and then he was like, well, if you know of any classics
Oh, you gotta be fucking
that I should
kidding me.
watch, I should do that, and throw those out there too. So it's like a real mix of random stuff, which is kind of funny. So we watched.
I told you
Black
the
Cat,
axe sucks.
and then the second night was David Cronenberg's
Yeah.
Rabbit.
Yep. Joe just
Which
caught
you
up
did
to
not
what
enjoy.
happened to me.
Nice.
Should I go up instead? Oh no, I just got fuck this
The
game.
statues will eat you.
Fuck
if you...
this game. Fuck this fucking game, man. Yeah, I know, Joe. Thanks for telling me that 2 seconds after it happened. Well, I thought maybe I could get up top there, but it was not to be.
Yeah, and Jonathan seemed very confused by Rabid, which
He
I
was.
was like, that's early
think I've-
Cronenberg in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think
well,
I've seen that actually.
He
so.
was very existential about what does this all mean, and I'm like,
Probably
I've
nothing.
seen-
Does it look cool?
I hadn't seen it before. I was the one that put it on there because I was like, oh, this is a early Cronenberg movie that is on a lot of, oh, these are horror movies you should have seen, as a fan. And so I was like, I should watch this. And I was like, I've seen movies like Videodrome. I don't expect any of this to make any sense. So I'm just fine with, was it fun? Which I
Yeah,
thought it was.
I'm sure it was visually interesting, if nothing else.
So one thing I will say,
I
Eric,
told Marianne about it the next day, and she
Your
was
jump
like,
stops at a certain point. You don't have
Right,
a full
but-
arc, but
also you drop if you step off the end of a platform, you drop a stone. So that's in this area, it's kind of not a bad idea to just step off the end of the tongue and drop onto the platform.
okay.
Once you get the timing right on that.
I feel like my jump arc is it's a certain thing, and then you just drop straight down instead of
Yeah, once you reach the end of
Mario
it, he
style.
drops.
Yeah.
He drops
Yeah.
drops like a stone.
Anyway,
But also, you don't have to keep torturing yourself much longer. Kurt
No, I was
Atkins
gonna say, well, yeah, I think I'm just about done with this for now. But yeah, this game's pretty good. For me, my part for Halloween, all I'm doing is streaming a bunch of video games. So
yeah, I wanted to hook up and watch you do Parasite Eve yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to get on.
that game is still really
I
cool.
was-
I still I kind of want to
Is
play
it?
some.
That's part of what I wondered
Yeah,
about
I haven't played it in
'Cause
15 years or whatever. But going back
that
to
was
it,
when that came out. That was when I was first getting super back into video games because I'd gotten a PlayStation.
Yeah.
And I actually played a Japanese import of it, which was also the last time I did that for any game I could. Had a lot of text.
yeah,
So it was
keep jumping
inscrutable
instead.
as
I gotta
fuck.
walk off the edge of that tongue.
Can't imagine that was confusing.
Yeah, that was inscrutable as fuck. And then I played it in English, and it was kind of still the same.
Yeah. So also apparently the novel that is a sequel to has been translated into English, like in 2007 or something. I read
really?
last night. So I might
Man,
see if I can get my hands on a copy of that and check it out.
there's some good music in that game.
Yeah, the music is really good. I think that
I
it's
especially
still
love the intro.
mechanically like pretty interesting. Like nothing else quite
kinda
functions
similar to-
that same way. And
It's almost like Okami in a way,
Uh,
right? Like the
I
fights
could-
are all
I
like
could
they
see
put you
it.
in this dome.
kind of. It's gun combat,
and
not
then-
melee combat.
Well,
But
but it's
But
it's
yeah,
this
you
thing
get
of like
an arena that's suddenly
Yeah.
shows up, and
all right.
I see what you're saying.
so actiony kind of combat.
Yeah,
I
that
heard
game
the
held up
third
well.
birthday is
What else
real
did I
bad.
play? Yeah, I didn't
That's what
check.
I've
I
heard
never
too.
played that. I
It's
never played the
bummed me out.
sequel either. So maybe I'll replay the first one. And...
Oh, how was Ken Saden, by the way?
That game is actually pretty dope. Like it's like a B tier, 8-bit platformer, but like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not as good as like Castlevania or whatever, but
So I was actually
it's
gonna
totally
suggest
fine. Have you
that-
never played it before?
I have it, and I don't think I've actually played it since I bought
Yeah, you
it.
should. I would say that you'll get something out of it if you play it for sure.
Cool. I was going to suggest
I like
you
the,
play Master of Darkness on the Sega Master System, which is like a straight up Castlevania clone.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
the
like
one
a
you did the
pretty good
video
one.
about, right? A few years ago.
I did a video about that a few years ago. It's
Yeah,
super good.
I'll
And I would
check
hang
that
out
out
with
at
you
some
if you
point.
play that at some
Okay.
point.
Yeah, we'll
I like-
we'll
I
definitely
like the
do that. What
knights
was
that
the
are
other
just
thing that I played? Oh, I played
wiggling
Castlevania Circle of the Moon, which
Yeah, how did that hold up, by the way? Because I've been meaning
I
to
think
revisit that
it's
game.
it really isn't. So I just played. See, I'm
Well,
really
you
doing
played it on the
horrible
emulator,
now.
so you could actually see it. Right?
Right, so that was
that's a
that was a
plus.
big plus. Also, I'm playing like
Yeah.
shit now because I'm talking and not playing. But so I played it on an emulator, so I could actually see it, which is definitely a big plus. But it just like so. Coffee came and hung out with me while I was playing that, and he's like he remembered playing it and grinding for the cards because that game's got like a weird card system where you like match.
Yeah,
You have to
right.
getting
Yeah.
all of that
You can
is
match
really
match
helpful.
powers. Like you have different ability cards that match and give like your ability
With
different
elements or something,
elemental
right?
powers. Yeah, so you can like one of the first one I got was a flame whip, which is pretty basic, but
Yeah.
some enemies are stronger or weaker to other elements. So that's a
Your-
pretty
your
cool
basic
aspect of
Belmont?
that game. But for the 45 minutes I played it, it's just like it's all these the parts in Symphony of the Night where it's like a vertical tower where you like run up a ramp and then you jump to the other side and then run up a ramp and then jump to the other
Yeah.
side. Like 50% of the fucking level design in that game is just those towers with the ramps, just like over and over and over again. And
I didn't remember that.
yeah, that. I mean, so obviously, I played like that's like I uncovered like 25% of the map or something, but
So
that
Heather
that
Alexandra.
specific thing. That's why I played that because I read that article and I was like, I don't
Okay,
remember
yeah,
this game
it's-
being that good, but I'd be willing to give it another shot. And I
So
just had
that-
played Aria of Sorrow to completion about a month ago. After I streamed that one night, and
That's still super good, right?
yeah, that game is still super good. And Circle of the Moon, like the card mechanic part of it, is really cool. And the music in that game is really, really good. But I think the level design is just too. It's too boring to rank with Aria of Sorrow and Symphony of the Night. I would say that it's probably like at best the third best that style of Castlevania. And it's definitely doesn't replace Castlevania 3 or
I
Rondo
remember
of Blood.
liking it. I remember liking it more than Harmony of Dissonance.
Yeah,
though.
it's better than Harmony of Dissonance, but Harmony of Dissonance is kind of a mess. That also
So,
has kind of boring level design.
She's really become one of a games writer I like a lot lately, and
Yeah.
because people keep like the headline to that article was super dumb, by the
Right.
way, and I don't think
Right.
she wrote the headline.
The same thing. There was she wrote an Earthworm Jim article, which was
Yes.
the same. Like the article was a totally reasonable take on those games, where like the level design in those
Well-
games is a total fucking crazy mess. But
Right.
the
The
headline
article-
just like doesn't do justice to the article.
Right. Well, the headline, and people got really bent out of shape about that one because the headline on the Earthworm Jim one was that it was mean spirited, and so then
Right.
like I saw people who didn't actually read it being like, "Oh, PC culture is murdering us" or whatever, and I was like, "This is about how the level design is
Right.
mean spirited, not the humor in the game."
Right. Because the games are actually super lighthearted, and that's like the appeal of those games.
Right. Yeah.
But it's about how the level design was sort of supposed to be also making fun of like platform game design at that time, and it comes off as mean spirited because like you don't know where the fuck you're going or what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost.
But
And
nobody
there's just like a
bothered
lot
to
of
read
random
it.
stuff in that game that doesn't feel good. Hey, I made it to the boss.
The mute key says circle is just too grindy.
Yeah, that was what Coffee's other complaint was, that just to get your hands on any of the cards, you have to spend way too much time. Like Aria of Sorrow can also be really grindy if you want all of the abilities, but just because of the sheer number of enemy abilities you get enough stuff to finish that game and experiment and have fun with all the different powers. Whereas Circle of the Moon, I played for 45 minutes. I played for 45 minutes and I got one card.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
you can jump and shoot down. Remember, Eric?
Okay.
Poverty Game Night says Circle of the Moon is weird. The fact that you can just pause the game while activating DSS and change cards to get DSS stuff you don't have is hilarious. I haven't played that game in long enough to have any idea what he's talking about.
No, I don't remember. Is that like a glitch or something?
It sounds like it, but
That's
I don't
cool.
know what he's referring to.
Yeah.
I played
So
that
anyway,
game.
I bought that game with a GBA in 2001 and just couldn't play it because of the color palette is just way too dark, and the character sprite is also like really muted colors, so it's just like he blends into the background in a way that was not. There was just no way that like it was not a viable art style for the Game Boy Advance.
Mute Key says the trick to the card stuff is that you replay the game in either Magician or Luck mode. I did that. I did like that the overworld got new enemies as the game developed, and yeah, it's a glitch, a very powerful one. Okay. Well, so
that's cool.
Maybe that's worth looking into. I actually replayed, I think I've talked about this before, but I replayed Symphony in Luck mode not that long ago, and really had fun. Like, if you're overly familiar with Symphony and want like a good change of pace for that game,
be overly familiar with Symphony of the Night.
Fair
Damn.
enough.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep doing this?
No, I don't. I really don't. You guys can play Friday the 13th. We just ended up chit-chatting.
Right.
I got the 3C3. This game is good. I like this quite a bit more than the Super Nintendo one.
I'm kind of surprised by that.
For sure.
Yeah.
The ability to shoot up is great. I mean, double jumps, that's where it's at, but I've made... Of course, it might be because I'm playing in the practice mode, too, since apparently that's the default difficulty setting.
Yeah,
and I don't... Does the Super Nintendo one have difficulty settings?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe this is being a little bit more kind with the enemy spawns, the random enemy spawns. Look at that.
Maybe one night we should hang out and you should check out the game or the Master System version, because it's way different and definitely not as hard because you're like a life bar and shit.
Okay, well if I'm gonna do 31 of these, then we'll have time.
Right.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but like the biggest problem is that it just like makes it difficult to do other things that I might want to do for Halloween stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. Understandable. Nobody's holding you to do a 31.
No, I know.
You can do what I'm doing with the movie thing, where I watch like 2 in a night.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, I could record 2 streams, and then
which turns out to be really easy when like the 2 Universal movies that we watched so far are both an hour.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's one awesome thing about old movies is that
I described the Black Cat to Mary, and she's like, "I kind of want to watch that now." So we watched that and She-Wolf of London on the same night.
What is She-Wolf of London?
So let me preface this by saying, yeah, it's a Universal movie with June Lockhart as the main character. But let me preface this by saying that.
Do you want to put a pause on this and change over, or do you want to finish it so that way it's in the.
Jonathan presumed Rabid was going to be a werewolf movie. And of course it's not.
Right. It's about little rabbit guys that are just super chaotic and weird.
Exactly. Yeah. And they go.
Yeah.
Jesus, that is a horror movie.
And then we watched. Then we watched Wolf Creek. Which also is not a werewolf movie.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
And so he's like, "What the fuck? This is bullshit. There's no werewolf. There's no were-roo. There's no nothing. What the hell? You can't put wolf or howl or bark or
if he wants to watch it
in your title without being a werewolf movie." And I said, by the way,
a kangaroo movie, there is a Howling sequel that involves like were marsupials. that is a thing.
I said, well, by the way, tomorrow's movie, I got something sad to tell you about tomorrow's movie. He's like, it's right there in the title.
All right.
And interestingly, She-Wolf of London is in my Universal Wolfman Blu-ray box set. So
it's pretty good. I liked it.
Okay.
So
All right.
I mean,
right,
for
well,
that
so-
kind of like gothic horror movie.
We'll talk more about horror movies on the
Well, we-
Friday
yeah,
the
we
13th
should.
stream.
Based on,
yeah, right.
But anyway, that's Ghouls and Ghosts for the Genesis. It's good. I think this might be the best of these that I've played, though I've not spent much time with either of the arcade games. So
Genesis.
yeah, Genesis is a thumbs up, and also a middle finger up because some
Right,
of the
yeah.
some of the gotcha
Mainly
moments,
a
man.
middle
When I got
finger, I think.
when I got eaten by that statue,
It's pretty.
was brutal.
It's pretty funny the first time, and then it's just irritating.
Yeah.
as shit
and then
after
it's
that.
it stops being
All
funny
right.
after.
We'll be back next week with another spooky game. Maybe one that involves decapitating yourself to attack enemies. I don't know.
Oh,
Oh.
We'll see. Bye.
bye.